All right, we'll get started shortly.
Ladybirds.
Did we what?
Call them ladybirds.
No.
That's not what it's called.
That's not what they are. So I don't know why you would call them that.
Special.
Did you used to call ladybirds?
No way, but I read books, maybe they were referencing something completely different. Really? I see.
I didn't know that was a thing. Ladybirds. Like Ladybird Johnson?
I see.
There may be some folks joining us who don't know who that is.
That's a travesty of American history if people don't know
Right?
who Hubert Johnston is. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start tracing if you haven't already. So we're gonna take the black and white copy and we are taping it to our watercolor paper and graphite side down. I teach an in-person watercolor class on my house on Tuesday nights. And two of the people who have been doing watercolor classes with me for months traced the entire picture on Tuesday with the graphite side up, not down. And they had to go back and redo it. So it happens to the best of us. It happens to me. So I will state it many times at the beginning of class. And we, and maybe even me, will still potentially miss that. But so with the ladybug, just a couple things I want to mention as far as this things that you might want to catch in this reference photo.
Is graphite light or dark? I'm sorry.
Oh, it's the shiny side. And you can test it too.
Paper towel.
On the ladybug picture here, do you see how there's this kind of like purple-ish, slightly purple shadow on the red?
Yeah.
You don't have to necessarily make lines there, but you could make really light lines there to remind yourself that's going in. I would also make sure you get a line right here down the middle. I will be drawing this white highlight in lightly, very lightly, and this highlight in up here as well. So you are definitely going to want to get those. And I'm going to go ahead and switch to the gallery view or to the view where you can see me tracing, but I don't think I don't think we need to watch each other trace, but I'm going to switch now so I don't forget. Let's see.
Did you press record?
I did, thank you. Yes, so we'll all go ahead and start tracing this very cute little ladybug.
Right for your paint?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, love.
So Jessica, are you outside on a patio?
That's my front porch.
Nice, very nice. And Susan, are you on a patio as well?
It's very light.
Yeah.
So.
Is it raining where you are, Susan?
No, we had a little shower earlier, but it hasn't lasted very long. I have a back porch. That's where I am.
Nice.
You gave me the one plate with glitter.
It's so funny.
This is your magical.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's fun. It's my distaste of glitter. You have distaste of. Oh, I have an extreme distaste for glitter.
Not like
I don't like it's messy.
not in the door in the house.
Right, it's not allowed. But somehow there's.
Alicia, can you trace the shadow?
Which shadow?
Well, underneath the ladybug.
Oh, yes. I will do a very light tracing of that shadow. That's a great question. But I'm going to keep it super light.
Do you guys want me to pin what she's doing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't technology fun when it works?
Yes. We're just happy we have Teresa.
Oh, thanks. Well,
It's okay, I can
are
use,
you done? Uh-oh,
done with that.
are you
too.
done? Did you want us?
But if you wanna put it up so Hank doesn't get it, seems like that'd be something he would like.
Running around the house with cards. That
He loves dryer sheets. So I wouldn't be surprised if he loved carbon paper.
Did he come this way?
He did,
When Puppy had his eyes just something out.
yeah. He was always just such bad,
He's
bad.
got so much for.
He's so.
You can,
lovely.
those can go over there too.
Well, I might want that.
Well, I put a whole stack up for you.
Oh,
What's an extra one?
Amy, do you?
You want extra brushes?
If you have a number still.
Yeah, I mean, you can look.
You can look, I don't know,
I don't.
see.
Why do you guys have so much?
I don't know what you're.
Well, we were up at Arnie's last weekend, which was a art supply store in Holman.
Oh.
And they were having a tent sale. And they had a bunch of paintbrushes for like $1 or something, watercolor paintbrushes. We
Nice.
bought a bunch of those. And then, but they didn't have any of the sizes that she told us to buy, so then we came down and bought that little box. She's right there.
Why is she doing that?
Sorry, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Intruder. Intruder at number. Intruder.
Oh, it's the neighbor's dog, that's why.
Ruby. You want, I'm gonna shut those.
Maybe they're still opening. Perfect.
Okay, so I am looking at my reference photo here and trying to make sure that I have everything down that I want to make sure I capture before I take the tape off, because again, it's just so hard to get it back just right if you take the tape off. So I want to make sure first that I've got it. And I think I do. So go ahead and start finishing up. I need to, I don't have my mixing tray, so I'm gonna go grab that really quick as you all begin to finish up.
Oh, what do you think? I see. It's gonna go. Well, that's how it goes in my face. You just tell the other person. Know what your problem is.
Mine always looks so dark. They must be really heavy handed.
Yes, I do agree.
Alicia,
Yes, Susan.
did you enlarge your ladybug?
Yes. So I always, when I print, I will always print to fit to the page.
Okay,
So I make it, I hit that little print to
to fit, okay.
yeah. So, okay. I know the phone we did last week was red, and this is also red. So we've got a theme going. I do see a little red theme happening. But the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to mix a red. And what I see here on this, again, we're going to go back, we're going to return to that idea of glazing, or as my watercolor teacher calls it, color mapping. Meaning we're going to start with the lightest color. And do you see this highlight right here? It's almost like a yellow red. Isn't that interesting? So I'm going to mix a light yellow red to start. And that light yellow red will be what I'll put everywhere that I see red. So, question?
Are you using the number 6 brush?
I think to mix my color, I'm going to use the big brush, and then to paint, I'll use my 6.
I see, okay, thanks.
But you can really, I used the 6 brush for everything for like the first 4 years of painting. I can't even tell you, I did hundreds of paintings with around 6. So it's only been recently that I got the guts to start using the bigger brush, and I love it for mixing. So that's why I'm using it for mixing. So I'm going to get my brush really wet. And I think it's helpful for you to kind of see what I'm doing. So I'm using my big brush to mix the color. I'm getting it really wet. And you probably see I have 2 of these Artistro palettes here. And the reason why I have 2, this is the old set. And I've been using this set for over 3 years. And as you can see, I mean, I've painted so many paintings with it. And you can tell like which ones I've used the most, like this blue, this yellow has been replaced. I pulled the yellow from a newer set and put it in my old set right here. But there's some different colors in this new set, and I wanted to make sure I had the colors that you all might have if you got the Artistro set. So that's, I don't know if I mentioned that last time. That's why I'm using 2 sets, just because the names and the colors are slightly different. And I thought it would be important for you to see on your set what I'm using. So this red, you have a cherry red on yours, and it's in the top left-hand corner on your, if you're using the Artistro. And I'm going to get my brush really wet, and I'm going to take it in here, and I'm going to just move it around, trying to pick up as much of that pigment as I can. And then I'm going to bring it over here to my tray. Yeah, I got a lot of pigment over there. So now I'm gonna, Susan, you asked me last time about if I'm gonna like rinse off my brush before I pick up my next color. In this case, I'm going to rinse off my brush. So I've got so much red pigment on my brush, and I'm gonna pick up some yellow. I do not want to get that red in my yellow. So I'm gonna rinse that off. And I just swish it back and forth really kind of violently in there, and then rinse it off. And now I'm going to put a very wet brush in this yellow, and I'm moving it around.
The pineapple?
Yours will be the pineapple, yes. Yeah. And I'm going to add that to my, yeah, oh, perfect. Almost perfect.
Better run on our yellow big.
I added it here to the cherry. Now I'm going to rinse this off, and I'm going to just pick up a little bit more yellow. Yes. Now, again, I want to start with just a light, I'm going to go light. So I'm going to add a little water to this color that I just picked up. And I'm going to start painting this color everywhere that there should be red. So, and I'm going to color map. So after it dries, I'm going to go over with the cherry red a little bit more. But for now, this is just the perfect place for us to start.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oops, sorry, everyone.
Sorry about what?
You can read this.
I had one neighbor that came over today and Friday.
How old is he?
I think he's 30 now.
Oh my gosh.
Little scientist. He's really smart. He's at the Y stage, whatever age that is.
Whatever age that is.
Fine. Ellie doesn't have eyes. Why? Oh, they were hurting. Why? I fired it. Yeah, why?
Right.
I don't know, what'd you eat?
Tell me, Al.
You tell me.
And one thing, so we're doing the wet on dry technique here. And what I think it's important to note is I'm not letting like any water kind of pool anywhere on my paper. So Jessica, I know that last week you were asking about, getting the paper too wet. And we just start to see, you want enough that you can kind of move the pigment around, but you don't want it really pooling too much in any one place. At least not for this particular type of painting that we're doing right now. There are certain types of painting where you might want a lot, or at least more water on, but not for what we're doing.
I feel like it didn't mix up enough pigment.
Me same.
You can
Friends
answer
are running.
Okay, I don't know.
Ladybirds getting the colors.
Ladybird.
Okay, so once we get the body of our ladybug done, I think that the next thing that I want to go to are these cute little antennae, I guess would be the plural, up here of this bug. And it's so cute, right? Look at this. It's brown and yellow, right? And so I want to start. Really, we could just paint the whole thing brown. Nobody's really, here's the thing, nobody sees the reference photo but you. Just keep that in mind, right? So what we're gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna mix a little bit of a brown yellow color. I'm gonna go ahead and fill that in, and I am gonna use my round 6 for this one. So I'm gonna get my brush wet and I'm gonna pick up some brown, probably one of the lighter color browns. And I'm gonna mix it over here. And you know what? I'm not even gonna put yellow in it. I'm just gonna leave it that brown that I see. And I'm going to just fill it in right here. So adorable.
Oh, I'm not even done coloring.
I mean,
You're ahead
I
of me,
just
Amy.
started coloring.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. You'll catch up. Don't rush. Don't rush.
Mhm.
If I'm a little bit in front of you, that's okay. If you're a little bit in front of me, but it doesn't matter if you're a little bit behind or if you want to go faster. I want you to go at your pace. Okay, and now the next thing that I want to do is I want to do these yellow spots right here on like the head of the ladybug. Does anybody know like insect anatomy? What do we call this? Is it its head? I don't know, but I'm going to mix a really light yellow. And the way I'm going to do that, I'm going to take, it'll be pineapple for you all. And I'm going to take the pineapple and I'm just going to add a whole lot of water. Really, really going to lighten it up. So I'm gonna take this very, very light yellow. And I'm gonna go ahead, yeah, and just start bringing it in. Now, this is where it gets a little bit challenging to not let it pool because as you can, I don't know if you can tell, but I've got these little droplets, pools of water where I just put the pigment on its eyes, almost too much. That could take a little while to dry. And so I'm not gonna pick up any more pigment or water. I'm just gonna come back here and dip my brush in that little eye area to bring more pigment to the other yellow places. And then there are these two little yellow spots right back here on its back, but close to its head. And I'm going to go ahead and fill those in as well. If your red, though, is not yet dry, I would wait to put this little yellow spot in, or else it might bleed onto it, and you're not going to want that. Okay, and then this right here, I probably should have put a little line right here because that's still kind of black, but it's kind of just so highlighted that on first glance, it looks like it could have been just part of the highlight, but I want some yellow down here. So I'm gonna just wash my yellow over it right here. And maybe even bring it around. And then I'm rinsing off my brush. Now there's these other little highlights on his arms near his head. See, there's a little yellow highlight here and here. I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can bring that in.
Very, very, very faint. Very.
I know. No, but mine is so dark.
Can I use some of that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I also want to prepare for this highlight on his head and kind of down here. There is this color in the highlight that is a very light Payne's gray. It's also over here. And I want to see if I can mix that. Payne's gray is like a dark navy. And then watered down, you get this like bluish gray color here. And so I believe it's cobalt on, yeah. So I'm going to take my cobalt and I'm going to take a little bit of the azure. Azure's kind of got a little green to it, I feel like. So I might just drop in a little bit of black. And I get this muddy blue, right? This dark blue-ish color. And I'm going to add a whole lot of water. Yep, I did a little bit of cobalt, a little bit of azure, a touch of black, and I'm adding a whole lot of water.
I'm using this right now.
I'm gonna kind of bring it over here. Just all where I kind of see it in the highlight. And while I'm waiting for some of these other areas to dry, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mix some black. I'm just picking up a lot of this black. I'm gonna add a little water.
Hey everybody.
Yes.
If I'm trying to just do like the I'm just trying to look at you, Alicia, because it's easier to see big, but whenever the mic picks up other people, it turns to them.
Oh yeah.
If you wouldn't mute if you're not, yeah, if you're not talking.
Yeah. So Teresa, I'm gonna mute y'all's group for right now. And but don't be afraid to ask a question or to chime in or be a peanut gallery and give a thought.
Amy's got a question.
Okay, who has a question? Amy?
Amy, where does the cobalt mix go? I didn't see where you put it.
Oh, so did you see over here on my mixing tray how I did a little bit of cobalt?
Or put it.
Yep, so I put it right, a little tiny bit right here. It's very, very light and a little bit right here. It's super light.
I see, thank you.
You're okay, yeah, good. Now, the next place, I'm gonna take this black and I'm gonna go ahead and oh, Jessica, so, and this is for everybody. So one thing that you can do so that it doesn't move back and forth, if you pin the demonstration, it will stay up and stay big, and everyone else, if you're on like an iPad or something, it will be small. Or if you're on a computer, everyone else will be at the top.
Thank you, that's helpful.
Yeah. Okay, so now we are going to, I'm going to take this black and I'm going to start on the legs. I'm going to start bringing in some of this black on the legs. And I wish you all could be at my house. So I have a neighbor. He's like 3 houses down, 4 houses down, and he is learning to play the bagpipes. And so every night about this time, the bagpipes are playing. And right now he is going strong. I just wish you could all hear it. My neighborhood is really cool and quirky, and that's just one of the perks of living in my quirky neighborhood. And there's this little black spot right here on the right-hand side. I guess it's part of its leg that's kind of tucked in. And then it kind of juts out right here. Now it got super quiet.
We're focusing.
Yeah, everyone's very intent on what they're doing, I can tell. Okay, and I'm not going to touch this head part with the black yet because some of it's still wet, and I think, well, actually I am, because here's the thing, for me, the yellow is dry. That's the main thing I want to keep dry. I want to keep the yellow sharp, but I don't mind that this blue highlight is still a little wet. If it mixes a little bit, it might create a little watercolor magic. So I'm gonna be okay with that. So I'm gonna start in here too. I'm just gonna trace along, kind of see what happens. Bringing the black in. It's kind of light. I'm starting with kind of a light black, knowing again with watercolor, just remember you can always go darker, but you can't go lighter. So So for last week's, did folks notice how it changed the next day? When you look at it, some watercolor magic happens, and the next day it looks totally, almost totally different. It's like the watercolor fairy comes and sprinkles some little magic over it, and it looks even better than it did when you left it. Did everyone sign theirs? You sign it from last week and date it. Don't forget to date it. I think that's really important, especially if you're at the beginning of your watercolor journey. I love to go back and look at the evolution of the painting, because if you practice it every week for a while, you will be so amazed at how quickly you develop your skills. Bagpipes are still going.
Does it sound good, or is it like learning a string instrument?
Um, so he's gotten a lot better. And now it sounds good. He definitely has put in the work and he's gotten good. The beginning was interesting for sure. It's just such a loud instrument though. It makes me really, like, my heart goes out to parents with kids that want to learn the drums. so fun how many folks have like their groups that are painting together. I just love that. Okay, now the next thing that I'm gonna do, I'm trying to decide if I want to go for the spots or not. I think I do. I think I want to start bringing in these black spots on the ladybug. I think that's what I want to hit next. And don't worry, the ladybug is not vibrant yet, but we're gonna bring more color in there and she'll get there. This little spot that I'm doing right here, it's not actually on the reference photo, but somehow I drew it and I'm gonna keep it. And I'm gonna give him one over here. I don't know how that happened. I guess my ladybug just needed extra spots. Okay. So now that we have that all color mapped out, next I want to start bringing in a little more red. And it's interesting as I look at this reference photo, I think I want to bring some cherry red in here and all in here, anywhere that I don't see that yellow. So I'm gonna just kind of rinse off my brush a little and pick up a little bit more cherry red and add some water. I'm gonna make it a little light, not too light, but light. And I'm gonna start just bringing that color in. I'm picking up my big brush again. If you have one, it can be really helpful because it covers a lot of surface area pretty fast. Not that fast is necessarily the name of the game, but can be helpful. Just moving this color around, trying to keep it even. And this side highlight here on the sides where I wanted the yellow red it's not even quite as much yellow as I want it to be. So I'm gonna pick up just yellow on my brush and I'm gonna bring it over here and just let it kind of bleed in. I'm gonna let the watercolor do its little magical thing. The red is still wet, and so I'm letting the yellow come in and bleed into the red. Just kind of for fun. Yeah, I like the effect that that kind of gave right there on the sides. So, and I want to take a little bit more of this yellow and right on the edges of this spot right here, I'm just gonna kind of bring that in a bit. All right, now while this body is drying because I don't want to touch any of the edges of the red that is wet. So I do want to darken up the head of my ladybug. And so I want to do another layer of black. So I want to pick up a whole lot of black pigment. So I got some water on my brush and I want it to be very black. So what I'm doing is I'm not even putting it on the tray. I'm just going to go right from the pigment directly onto the paper here.
Alicia,
Yes.
what was the color red that you just did before that? Like the second red that went over top?
This right here on the sides or the cherry red on top?
Well, I just finished painting lids, so what?
Oh, okay, yeah. I just picked up some cherry red, watered it down a little bit, and I put it in all of those places where I did, but left that little yellow highlight area.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. while I was eating dinner before class tonight, I was watching Netflix and watched the Simone Biles documentary on Netflix. Has anyone seen that yet? It just came up. It's so good. It is so inspiring. I teared up in the first episode. It made me a little sad, or like happy, sad, just rooting for her. I want to note something right here on the very top of his face and his nose right here. You can see, and I'm gonna pin me for a second so I can make sure I'm showing you the right thing. Okay, so right here, there is a very subtle highlight here in the front. So I'm gonna stop right here for the time being. And then I'm gonna come here and darken these little bits on the antennae up. And I'm gonna come back in with a lighter black to just kind of keep it light, but a little shade darker than it is now, but not as full dark black as this is. So I just want to note that, and there's going to be something similar right here, right above this highlight that you see the end of my paintbrush on. So I'm going to come back to that as well. So these are really subtle things that have a big impact. So I'm just picking up a little bit more black. It's not the full pigment, but a little bit more, and bringing it in over here.
My ladybug got in a fight with a paintbrush.
It happens sometimes. It happens. If there's something that you want to pick up, Susan, like if you want to pick up some of that pigment, what you can do is just grab like a paper towel or toilet paper and press it in and lift it right back up, and you might be able to lift some pigment out if it was that type of paintbrush fight.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
I am not loving the squirrel hair brushes.
Yeah.
Any tips?
No. What is it about them that you're not loving?
It holds some water
Yeah.
that it's hard to follow kind of some of the instructions that you're giving because I feel
Yeah.
like it's so much.
So Jessica,
But
the only
I'm
thing that
working
I
on it.
think of with that is maybe, so this big one right here, like when I put it in the water, it picks up quite a bit of water onto the brush. And so I have to really kind of just keep going like this until I get most of that water off. If
Okay,
I
I wasn't doing that at all.
more precise. Yeah. So that really kind of just moving it along the edge and dropping some of that water off will help you get water off the brush.
Okay, thanks.
And first of all, I love that you said that. So if anyone is having any little problem with anything, don't be afraid to voice it. because there might be a fix for it that you don't even know is available. And if I can help you fix it, I will. It might be one of those things where I say, good luck with that, who knows? But it could be something that I can help you fix with just a little bit of tweaking. So don't be afraid to ask questions or to just share something that might be feeling like a little bit of a struggle. Okay, my red is still a little wet, but I want to start to try to get this little dark spot in here, and I could be about to really mess this up. But my impatience is saying, just paint it. So I'm gonna give it a try. And I'm gonna start with a light black, just in case. I don't want to start super black because I don't want to really bleed too much black pigment in there if it's not completely dry. It's doing okay. So what I just did, I just got a lot of water on here. So I did the black and then I took a little bit of this Payne's gray and I put it in the edge because I want to try to create this color in here. That's a lot of water in that area. And so I have a little toilet paper roll. You could have a paper towel roll. I like toilet paper because it's cheap, and I just I want to dab up some of that water because I want it to dry faster. I'm just going to pick up some of that. Okay, now the next thing that I want to begin to do here is this red purple color that we have going on. It's very subtle. It's a subtle purple, and I'm very excited about that subtle purple. So because I like working with the big brush for mixing color, I am going to kind of rinse off the brush, get some of the water off, and gosh, let me see. I want to pick up the cherry red. So I'm picking up some of the cherry red over here. I'm going to bring that in on my palette, and then I'm going to rinse that off. And let's see. I think that the midnight blue might be the color. Yeah. I want to pick up some midnight blue. Just a little. Well, maybe more than a little. So I'm picking up the pigment and I'm going to bring it into my cherry and I'm mixing over here. And that's pretty much the color that I think I want. Now, I may add a little bit more water it down just a little. But I think that's what I'm seeing, or kind of close. And so what I want to do, I'm going to continue with this big brush, and I'm going to start kind of in the middle, and I'm going to add a little bit more water and just kind of bring it into where I see it.
Can I ask why you do the like adding blue instead of using like Merlot or one of the purpley colors that exists already?
Well, because that you can do that. There's nothing, you're not messing it up. You're not doing it wrong if you do that. I like to add the blue because I feel like I can control what color I'm getting better. And so for this, I feel like I got closer to the color that I'm actually seeing by mixing it that way. But that could also just be in my head. because you can achieve the same thing. There's always more than one way to do everything that we're doing. So my way is not necessarily the only way, or there's no necessarily like I said when we started, there's no, you can't do it wrong. There's no one way to do it. So if you just pulled up Merlot and you like the way that color looks, that's great. Go for it. Play with it. See what that does. See what colors that brings out for you. If you like them, if you don't like them, if you can mix what you think you're seeing. I mean, that's the main thing that we're after, is we're just trying to make sure that we are mixing the colors that we see. Is that helpful?
How do you get it to fade into that? Like mine just like this big, you just keep brushing it out
Yep.
to get it to blend?
Yep, and I may just add more water instead of adding more pigment.
Okay.
And okay, so I got this purple color kind of in the places where I feel like I see it, but I also see this purple color over here on the right. And I see it over here on the left by the leg. And there's a little shadow of it up here a little bit in the right-hand corner. And maybe even a little to the left. For now, I think I'm gonna just let that be. And I want this to dry. We've got some more to do. So while this is drying, I want to go back. I want to do another layer of black. So I want to revisit this little space right here. And I don't want to go, I just want to add a little bit in there. And now I want to pick up some more black. And I just want to try to get more black pigment in the places where I see that it's darker. It's just a lot of layers. And then over here, I'm on this leg. I'm just kind of bringing in more black pigment on the left-hand side. So where I see that it's darker, I'm going over with darker spots. These little details help start to add the depth. and this leg to the left, it's pretty dark. So I don't really see a highlight. So I'm just making it completely dark right here. And there might be some highlights off the leg that's jutting out. But for the most part, it's just pretty dark. So is this guy over on the right over here. And I can darken up some of the spots if they're not, that are on its shell, if it's not touching the red, because the black will bleed into any of the red spots that are still wet. So I'm just going to be careful to really kind of get these spots. Only if I know that I'm not touching. Oh, look, I don't know if you can see, but I did it right here. And you know what? I'm going to leave it. I could kind of try to put a paper towel on it and kind of pull that up, but it might be fun to leave it. And the leg off to the right over here, I'm just making sure I really darken him up. There. So she, I don't know. He starting to, they, them. I like that. Maybe it can have a name. Anybody want to name our ladybug? Red. How about that? Red is starting to take shape. And red here needs, let's see. I do want to get these spots right here, but the surrounding red is too wet. So I want to wait to darken that up. Now, in the meantime, while I'm looking at this, there's some yellow spots that I want to make more yellow. So I'm really going to wash off my brush, and my water's got a lot of pigment in it, and I'm not going to worry too much about that. I'm not going to let that stress me out. I'm just going to try to pick up some yellow. I'm going to bring it over here, get a little bit more water. And then I want just a touch of yellow over here. A little bit more pigment kind of around this here to give this more depth. And right here, this yellow spot, make it a little yellower as well. And maybe a little yellow here on these. They almost look like eyes. I know they're not eyes. And while I've got the yellow out, I'm going to just add a little more yellow on this side over here, and a little right here, and then a little more over here, and a little on this side. Okay, we're starting to get there. And this is where I start to get super impatient because I'm very excited about the next details. And I'll start to kind of point out what the next details are that we're going to be doing that I'm so excited about. On the reference photo, you can see, so I'm going to take a dark kind of purple line and I'm going to do it very lightly right here. I might take that Merlot and I might mix a color. I'm not sure yet. But I'm going to just bring a little of that purple along here to show a little line. And then I'm going to extend the line down here. And then I'm going to make a dark, dark purple. And I'm going to add that down here, right in this area. And then I get to decide this awesome shadow back here behind our red. I think it is like a purple-ish Payne's gray is kind of what I want to do for that shadow, and maybe the shadow under the arms over here. So that's what's coming next. Anyone else as excited about those details as I am? So I'm gonna start mixing a little bit more azure in over here to see if I can come up with the color I want. Might go for a little bit, a touch of more cherry. Yeah. I guess that I'm just looking at, I don't remember I didn't see who it was that asked the question about the Merlot. It's actually pretty close to the Merlot. What I just mixed is actually very close to that Merlot color. So you could just use that. But I enjoy the process of mixing. So what I'm gonna do, I know it's still wet here, but what I can do is this little tail spot. But you know what, honestly, it's not as dark. I'm gonna bring more blue in, more of the azure, because I want to darken it up a little bit. And I'm extending this detail all along that little side right here and right here. Okay, and it's gonna bleed a little, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna begin to make that line. It's actually not bleeding too much. And I'm not fully connecting the line down that where the highlight is, just kind of let it be not fully connected there. And now I think I've kind of changed my mind about that shadow. I'm going to make that shadow, I think, just full azure. We'll see. I'm going to start with azure. We'll see what happens. Okay, so I'm just coming in here. I'm just going for it. Oh my goodness, the shadows are always my favorite part. They are what make these paintings so interesting. All right, and there's some shadow over here as well. And even a little bit kind of around the arm over here. And let's see if I see shadow. There's some shadow over here. I don't see any shadow up here on this left arm, so I'm going to leave that. But I think I got all of the shadow. So I'm liking what's happening here. I want to make the shadow just a little darker, closer to the ladybug, closer to Fred. And just darkening it up right here. And now I'm gonna do a little something with I still have some blue azure on my brush. And these brown antennae, this is not what I see, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna put a little bit of blue right here. And a little bit of blue right here. So it's not what's on the reference photo, but it's what I'm putting in, and I'm gonna put some spots in here. Like this. Okay, I think it's safe for me to go in with some darker black and get these spots right here. Always amazed with the black. It just dries so much lighter than I expect it to. I think I've gone so dark and then it has dried on so much lighter. So often you'll find that you have to do a number of layers here to just kind of get the effect that you want. So at the moment, it's fine because I've got these spots that are nice and black, but I want to let this kind of dry. And what I'm noticing when I look at the reference photo and when I look at mine, the reference photo seems so much redder. And so I might want to do a red wash over all of that, just a slightly darker red wash once everything kind of dries. But at the moment, I'm going to allow my patients to just be good. And I'm going to pause here. I'm curious what questions you all might have at the moment. How are we doing? Good? So
What do we do in the like white spots and the black? Like to like
this white spot and this white spot,
shade it in a little bit? Yeah.
I'm leaving them white as highlights because they look pretty white. Now, what I can tell you though is I do need to pick up a little bit more black pigment. What I'm noticing is right here is just not dark enough. So I'm gonna darken that up right there. But if you notice on your reference photo, that's pretty well, it's not fully white, right? But I think that it's okay to kind of leave it that. The one thing that you could do if it's just killing you, that it's so white, and if it feels too white, you can rinse off your brush really well. Add a whole lot of water to like like this blue right here. a whole lot of water. So there's a little pigment in there. So I don't necessarily want my brush really wet, but I want to pick up just a little bit of that pigment. And you can bring that over top. And it will dry light. It will give you a little bit of pigment, but not a lot. You can do that. Bring it over here if you want to. Now I'm going to let that all just dry. This right here, this shadow, I can even add a little bit more azure if I wanted to. Even it out. I am going to pick up that Merlot color, I believe. Let's see what, yeah. And I want to just add just back here at the tail, just a little bit more. Give it a little bit more over here. And a little maybe Merlot highlight up here. And a Merlot highlight right here. Yeah. I am enjoying my ladybug. So that is how we're doing on the ladybug. I'm going to check in with all of you. So how's everyone doing? Teresa, I saw that face. What did that mean? You gotta come off mute and tell me.
No, it's, let's just say it's varying. There's varying degrees of ness, of different nesses.
Of different nesses. I love it. I love it. How's the Ashley and Rose crew coming along? How are y'all doing? I love that we have a whole group of
We're
you.
good. Yeah, we have family staying with us this week. So we're like, let's join.
Yes, I love it. It's a great family activity.
It is. Thank you.
Sarah, how are you doing? No, what is that face? No. Where do you feel like you're running into problems?
Where do you want me to start?
So timing is the problem. It's just you were doing black and I was still doing red, and then you started doing other things. So I was like, I'll come back to black. And that was the wrong choice that I made an hour ago. And so
what happened when you did that?
so I'm doing my first layer of black on the head right now.
That's fine.
Which feels very behind.
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
You're fine. And guess what? It's recorded so you can come back to it too.
Yeah.
What I will tell you is that a lot of times in the beginning, when I first started doing watercolor, the class would end and then I would spend like 2 more hours on the piece afterwards. And you learn to get a little bit faster, and but honestly, it doesn't matter if whatever pace you're at, it's like yoga. I think I said this last time, wherever you are is exactly where you need to be. And just going slow, following your intuition on, okay, do I want to quickly follow or do I want to try to just go at my pace? You'll start to learn what feels right for you there. Sophia, how are you doing?
So far, so good. My ladybug is very small because I printed it out at small size, but
Well,
it's working out.
good. Okay, so I'll say this now.
Yeah.
Again, and maybe I'll say it a few more times over the next classes. What I do when I print is I do fill screen with it so that I can have a bigger area to paint through. It is helpful. So yeah, I probably should have.
It's no problem. I like that it's small. I feel like I had less to do it.
Yeah, I love it. Megan, you doing all right over there? Okay, good. You know what Zoom does when we give like thumbs up and thumbs down, or even like it will do that. I don't know why it's not doing it right now, but I had a coaching call yesterday and it was like really serious. And I guess I was talking and I had her highlighted, not me. I try to like minimize my screen and she was like, you were telling me all these things and then I was just getting thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up from me. I was like, oh God, that's horrible. Okay.
Every leg of my ladybug is different.
Okay, you know what?
Yellow is very
It's like
yellow.
deformed.
Well, every leg of the ladybug on the reference photo is different too. I mean, none of them are the same. So
Right. But none of them look like mine. I'm okay with it.
right, any special requests for the botanical that we'll be doing next week? And some of you came on a little later, but
Foxglove or hollyhock?
What did you say?
Foxglove or hollyhock?
Foxglove or hollyhock?
Danielle said dahlia.
That's hard. Do you want to hate watercolors? Y'all just want to do the hard things. You're gonna hate me if I do that. I mean, they're beautiful, but that would be very that's like a level 10 watercolor class.
How do we do the red wash that you were talking about earlier? If ours is like very, very yellow or orange.
Okay, so the reason I haven't done that yet is because my black is still wet, but I will pick up. Let me switch back. Let me write down the foxglove and hollyhock and see it. Okay, so what I will do, let me come back here. Switch my screen back. Okay, so what I'll do in my mixing tray is I will mix a slightly redder wash. Yeah, so probably just the cherry. And that's pretty watered down right there. So then I will just take that wash over any of those places that I want to redden it up a little bit. I really want to preserve some of this yellowish orange, so I probably won't go over that, but I'll go any of those places that I want to add more red. So for instance, I definitely want to add more red in here. It's not going to hurt if I put it in here for right now. That'll be one place, and I want to bring more red in over here. And I will bring it in these other places. I think I can do it over here with, let's see if I can. So see how I did that on this side right here. So it's redder than this side over here. I'm going to try for this while we're all together. So I'm going to pick up a little bit more cherry. I'm going to bring it over here. And let's see. All right, I feel like that helped a lot. And I could probably still even bring it a little closer. Maybe even over here a little bit more. There we go. So I feel like he's done, and I'm pretty pleased with my little Fred here. And I'm gonna sign it. And I'll date it on the back, but there we go. All right. How's everybody doing? Are you gonna send me pictures? Is anybody's dry enough that you can hold it up and show me? I'll only do it if nothing's gonna dribble. I would love to see everybody's. Oh, look how good y'all did. Oh, Susan, you're a cute little bug. Oh my God, it's so cute. Oh, Teresa, great job. You all did a wonderful job. Oh, I love that. Okay, look back. I see you in Teresa's screen. Who's that in the purple? Oh. Teresa. Yes. Great. That's great. All right, y'all. Great job. Wonderful job. I will have the recording out to you tomorrow. If you have any questions or need anything in the meantime, don't hesitate to let me know. It's been so much fun painting with you this evening. Thank you all for being here. And I can't wait to see you again next week. But again, don't hesitate to email me, message me if you have any questions, okay? Bye, everyone. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
everybody.
you.